Good evening. Thanks for joining us. It's week 3 of our series entitled Worried. This week's lesson is entitled, What If I'm Afraid? If this is your first time joining us, I would suggest that you go back and watch the previous 2 weeks' lessons and then come back to this one once you're all caught up. Also, if you've not already, please be sure to click subscribe and then ring that bell icon so that you'll get notified when we post new video lessons and other content. So tonight, if you haven't already, go ahead and grab your Bible, your journal, something to write with, and let's get started tonight. As we kick off tonight, I want you to think about and answer this question. If you could have any animal in the world as a pet, which would you choose and why? So any animal that you could have as a pet, what would you choose and why? So, as we get started tonight, our lesson is answering the question of what if I'm afraid? And we're going to be digging into Psalm 27. So you can open up your Bible to that, and we're going to read that in just a moment. We don't have to look very far to find things in this world that are scary. It seems like every day there's another tragic story that makes us think, could that ever happen to me? Now, when we're young, we think that we're invincible, and we live by the motto, that will never happen to me. But the older we get and the more we go through, we begin to realize and accept the fact that bad things do indeed happen, and we are not invincible. And that's when the fear begins to set in. We begin to see more and more bad things that could happen in our lives. King David was somebody who went through many dangerous experiences when he was literally running and fighting for his life. If anybody had any reason to be afraid, it was David. But David was also a man who sought after God. He deeply loved the Lord because he spent time with God. David knew that he could trust him. He knew that his immediate circumstances or feelings didn't make God's character less trustworthy, nor did it make his promises less true. When David would encounter fearful situations like an army of men seeking to kill him, he would actively choose to trust God. When we hear about or experience things that cause us to fear or worry, we are called to do the same. So let's read through Psalm 27 together and see how David described his experience of trusting and seeking God when he had every reason to be afraid. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When evil men advance against me to devour my flesh, when my enemies and my foes attack me, they will stumble and fall. Though an army besiege me, my heart will not fear. Though war break out against me, even then will I be confident. The one thing I ask of the Lord is what I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. For in the day of trouble he will keep me safe in his dwelling. He will hide me in the shelter of his tabernacle, and set me high upon a rock. Then my head will be exalted above the enemies who surround me. At his tabernacle will I sacrifice with shouts of joy. I will sing and make music to the Lord. Hear my voice when I call, O Lord. Be merciful to me and answer me. My heart says of you, seek his face. Your face, Lord, I will seek. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You have been my helper. Do not reject me or forsake me, O God, my Savior. Though my father and my mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. Teach me your ways, O Lord. Lead me in a straight path because of my oppressors. Do not turn me over to the desires of my foes, for false witnesses rise up against me, breathing out violence. I am still confident of this. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord. So, Our first discussion question for tonight is this. What are the reasons that David lists why we don't have to be afraid of anyone or anything? You can pause the video now and spend whatever time you need on that question as well as the following. You may need to go back and read back over Psalm 27. So spend some time and answer, make a list of those things that David pours out in 27. Our next question is this. What are some of the ways that David expresses God's protection? How does he express God's protection? And number 3, why is it so hard to trust God even if we believe the same things that David does? And finally, tonight I want you to think about the last part of Psalm 27. How can seeking God help ease our fears? Now, that brings us to our time to apply the principles of this lesson to our lives so that it can help us from day to day. So for our apply it this week, I want you to name one fear that you have and make a daily reminder of how you can trust God in that area during this week. As always, I want you to take some time and write down what are you going to do, when are you going to do it, and is there someone who can keep you accountable to this during the week? Maybe someone, another student who's also going through this video series. How did you do with the memory verse last week? Did you memorize it? Here's the memory verse for this week. It comes from Proverbs 3, verses 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. So spend some time this week memorizing that verse. Our prayer exercise for this week is this. To help us become more aware of Jesus' presence, let's follow David's example from Psalm 27. So this week we are going to pray Psalm 27, and this is how we're going to do that. Every day this week, seek to understand God the way David did by praying David's prayer. Seek God's presence by following these 4 requests contained in Psalm 27. So write down these 4 prompts for your various in these various sections of Psalm 27, and every day spend time praying through those prompts. The first one is, God, you are my stronghold when I fear blank, whatever that is that you are fearing. Second, show me more of who you are. Teach me your ways. Help me wait for you when. So fill out those prompts and pray through that every day. I hope that this time of study was a blessing to you, and I look forward to seeing you here again next week. Now here's a little surprise for all of you that watched all the way to the end. Remember that opening question, if you could have any animal as a pet, which would you choose and why? So for this week, the first student to text me their answer to that question will get the animal of their choice dropped off at their house. No, not really. But I will bring you a prize and drop it off at your door. So text me your answer. First one will get a prize. As always, if you have any questions or you need any help, please feel free to call me, text me, reach out to me. I would love to talk with you more. I love you guys, and I hope you have a blessed rest of your week. Please, as always, be safe, wash your hands, and stay clean. Love you guys. See you next time.